We've explored mountain ranges all over the world, but somehow we'd never made it to the Dolomites. But last summer, we finally made it happen. In early September, we set out to fast-pack the Alta Via 1, spending 4 nights and 5 days exploring one of the most dramatic landscapes we'd ever seen. From towering Dolostone peaks to turquoise alpine lakes. Some places feel just too perfect to be real.
Beautiful late afternoon here. Really nice weather and these views. Just incredible.
We moved fast and light, embracing everything the trail had to offer and making a few friends along the way. And after all the trails we've followed, it turns out the mountains have a way of surprising us still. The Alta Via 1 is in northern Italy. It's a classic point-to-point route stretching roughly 120 kilometers, with around 7,400 meters of elevation gain. We arrived a day early in Cortina, where we'd be basing ourselves before starting the route. It's roughly the halfway point along the Alta Via 1 and the future host of the Winter Olympics. We'd leave our bags here before catching a bus north to the trailhead to begin our 5-day journey south.
Okay, so we go this way along the lake, into the trees for a bit, and then we start our first climb.
Okay, here we go, Saturday morning, and we have arrived at AUDRÉE'S, which is the start of at the northern end of the Alta Via 1. It's quite a popular tourist destination, but hopefully these crowds are going to thin out as we start to climb.
The bus had dropped us off near a hotel at the northern end of the lake. With a relatively light first day ahead, we'd take a detour to a nearby summit, then stopping at 2 rifugios for a snack and an espresso. On our way to the small hut we'd be calling home for the night. All told, about 24 kilometers, with just under 2,000 meters of elevation gain.
Alright, so I think that's the end of the runnable stuff for now. We're gonna start our climb here, and yeah, today we got about 20k to go. 2 big climbs to get to our first refuge. It's getting really hot already. We're gonna pop into the Alpine. I bet you we'll feel a lot warmer, like when we're fully exposed. And it's clear for now, but thunder showers can roll in pretty quickly here, so.
This is when we first met Jan and his dog Terrence, who we'd run into a few more times throughout the week.
Hi, Terrence.
So handsome.
Hi.
Yeah,
Hi.
thank you. He's like Fox, you know. He had 2 varieties. Bye.
Bit of a bottleneck up here, and someone flying their drone. So drones are banned on most of the Alta Via 1. For the first third or so, we're in a natural park, and then the last sort of quarter of the route, we go through a national park. There is a section closer to our day 4, where there's technically open airspace, so I debated whether to bring my drone, and in the end I decided to because I knew I'd regret it otherwise. And I had to register it with the government in advance. I had to get insurance. You need that legally to fly in Italy. But you see a lot of drone footage online from throughout the Dolomites, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of drones this week. I think it's a combination of people who maybe just don't know any better or maybe just don't care, but I will be including some stock footage, so you'll likely see some of that as well. And then, yeah, hopefully I can get my drone up a little bit towards the end of the trip there and justify this extra, you know, half kilo that I'm carrying in my pack.
Hello. Hello.
Beautiful dog.
She's very, very lonely.
Yeah, she's starved for attention, I'm sure.
Yeah, she needs instant adoption.
We'll take her.
Good dog ratio so far.
Gotta pet them all.
Wow. So our route goes that way past that refuge, but I've managed to talk Audrey into climbing this little side trail up to a summit up here. It's up at 2,800 meters. We're at 2,300 now, so about an extra 500 meter climb, a little out and back. Because today's relatively short, so I think we've got lots of time, and you never know what the weather's going to do. So I'd love to get a view early on if we can.
Alta Via means high route, and there are at least 10 of them across the Dolomites. The Alta Via 1 is the most popular and the most beginner-friendly, relatively speaking. But with all the side trails and optional variations, it can quickly turn into something much more challenging.
So you can see down here where we started from, on the other side of the lake, and then up through this sort of drainage here, up along this trail, those switchbacks, through that pass. Eating your sandwich now?
Yeah, it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
It's good.
Roof water. It's what happens when you really don't want to pay €6 for a bottle of water. I've got my Solomon XA filter in here. This thing can filter giardia and parasites and bacteria. I'm sure it can handle a little bit of roof water. Well, it did start to rain as soon as we got to this refugio here, but we managed to wait out the worst of it, I think. In fact, it might have passed already. And now we're going to continue on our way here up, I think that pass over there, off into the distance. Bit of thunder off there in the distance. Fortunately, as soon as we climb up here, we're gonna drop down quite a bit.
Oh my god. Can't tell whether we're running towards it or...
Yeah.
She doesn't like being watched. Look, they're all coming down. They're coming home for dinner.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff. we just happened to go by that refuge at the perfect time because the rain picked up, got pretty heavy, and there was quite a bit of thunder and lightning. Some lightning struck really close by. I think it was maybe less than a second in between the lightning and the thunder. So we were happy to have a bit of shelter. It gave us time to eat some strudel with ice cream, and then we could be on our way here. Oh yeah. Nice. Okay, so we're on what I guess you could call the final approach to our refuge for the night. About 700 meters of climbing, over 5K. We've got lots of time before dinner, so ciao. So less than 2 kilometers left, about 1.5. Beautiful late afternoon here. Really nice weather and these views, just incredible.
So cozy in here.
Yeah.
Very nice.
There's flowers. That's good news.
So like in the Alps, the beds come with a pillow. There's also a blanket. In fact, we have 2 blankets each, but you need to bring your own bed liner. There's never any sheets, and I think that's because in the mountains they can't do a lot of laundry. And so we have these really lightweight silk bed liners from Rab, and they have a little pocket for the pillow as well.
Especially the track and field, because there's no better.
Our second day on the trail would be a bit longer and incredibly scenic. We'd take a short detour to explore a few World War I military sites and to stop for lunch high on a ridge, before crossing the valley and continuing our traverse to a hotel located on a vehicle-accessible pass. Just under 27 kilometers, with close to 1,700 meters of elevation gain. Okay, so it's day 2. Hitting the trail here at about 8 o'clock. We were up at about 6:30, had breakfast at 7, then packed our bags and got ready. Breakfast was quite good. Dinner last night was amazing. As is often the case at refuges in Italy, pasta as an appetizer, followed by a really nice main course and dessert. We've got a similar sized day today, but of course we're getting an earlier start. But our goal today is to try to beat the thunder showers that seem to be developing in the afternoon, because the forecast is similar for today. And so hopefully we can get done before the thunder and lightning starts again today, around 2-3 o'clock.
Here's another big refugio. This one was fully booked up when we checked, so I guess we've been busy a bit.
Yeah.
That's the brewery over there, Refugio Lavarella. It's said to be the highest brewery in Europe, over 2,000 meters high. But it's all early for beer, so we're gonna stick to our route for today.
Yeah, next time.
We're going off this way.
Look who it is. Hi, Terrence. Hi.
Good morning, buddy.
Hi. Good boy. Good boy.
Good morning.
Just ran into our Czech friends that we met yesterday, Jan and his dog Terrence. They're actually camping. You're not allowed dogs at the refuges, so they're wild camping. It's technically allowed provided you set up at dusk and pack up at dawn. Sounds like there's another drone up above us.
Tough climb.
Almost there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's pretty steep.
Well, yeah. That's understandable.
You can really see just how steep this is on the elevation profile on my watch here. I created separate GPX tracks for each day so we can see exactly how much elevation gain and loss, as well as distance, of course, that we have for each stage, which is super handy. Allows us to make more informed decisions as we take some side routes here, some extra little summits, along with, of course, navigation as well. Down we go. We've got a pretty good view of our trail back up on the other side there once we drop down to this lake. So another huge climb up to that pass up there, and there's a refuge up there at the top. We're gonna hold off on filtering this water. I think we can do better. We've seen a few creeks today. It's been much better than yesterday. Yesterday was pretty much dry for most of the day until we got towards the end, towards our refuge. And we ended up having to buy water at the one refugio, which always pains me. But we're pretty sure we're gonna cross some water as soon as we get over this pass here. You can see where we came from up there.
Oh, there was a shortcut, look.
Oh yeah, there was a traverse we could have taken, that's funny. Almost there.
It looks pretty far away still.
Nah, 15 minutes. So our trail actually just goes up to this pass up here. Then we are going to continue the climb up to the right there and grab a snack, grab some lunch, and an espresso.
A lot of the trails in the Dolomites retrace old military routes from World War I. And high on this ridge, we soon came across a network of tunnels and bunkers carved straight into the rock. Soldiers fought a brutal high-altitude war in these mountains, hauling supplies through snow and stone, building via ferrata systems, and living for months at a time in these narrow, frozen passages.
Check out this one. They used it as like lookouts.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the windows even still has some like a gun on there.
Really?
Machine gun.
guard duty, hours and hours standing in the cold, on the alert, constantly looking towards the enemy emplacements.
So we're going down there somewhere.
And then back up, I think over there, but I'm not sure. We've got about 600 meters left to climb today. We were worried that we would end up on the Via Ferrata because there's so many variations around here, but I think we'll be okay.
I like this cave. Should we check it out?
Yeah. Somebody in here?
So the Dolomites are mostly made of limestone and dolostone. Limestone made primarily of calcite and dolostone of dolomite, hence the Dolomites. And dolostone is actually limestone that went through a chemical process called dolomitization. And that's what creates dolostone. And that's what makes the Dolomites so unique. You end up with these dramatic spires and really sheer cliffs that would otherwise crumble away if they were pure limestone.
The dramatic peaks of the Dolomites were once part of a massive underwater reef system. Over 200 million years ago, this whole region sat beneath a warm, shallow tropical sea.
A lot of the creeks and the waterfalls on this route have been dried up late in the season here, early September. But earlier in the season, I'd imagine there's a ton of water on this route to filter. So according to my watch, we have exactly 6 kilometers left with just over 500 meters of elevation gain to our refugio, which isn't bad. Should be no more than 2 hours. I'm sure we'll be done by 5 p.m. at the latest. Sitting down for dinner probably closer to 7. Only got about 200 meters of climbing left. Looks like the route we mapped is going to take us past this little ski lift here. And then, yeah, we've got about 4 kilometers to go. Pretty beautiful spot, eh?
Yeah, it's stunning. It's cool that we can see a lot of the route we took down on the other side.
Yeah, that's right. So it's hard to believe, but way up there, that's the refuge that we stopped for lunch at. We did a little out and back along the ridge there. And then we came back, traversing around the backside. You can't see the trail now, but we popped out over here on the right and then descended down into the valley and up the other side here. This would be an incredible place to ski in the winter. Eh?
Yeah, no doubt.
And we're finally outside of the park. We're outside of the natural park. We passed through a regional park down here, but there's a helipad here, so still can't fly. Now we descend, and it has started to rain. I just heard some thunder as well. So hopefully it doesn't get too bad. If it does, we'll stop and put our hard shells on. This rain is actually quite refreshing. The problem is, if you get completely drenched through, you can start to get cold. So we put our jackets on. We also have waterproof pants. We definitely haven't needed those yet. It's been way too warm. And that's what I'm wearing at night in the refuge as well. So my philosophy is everything has to serve a dual purpose, nothing for comfort, nothing for luxury. So at night I put on my, I take off my dirty shorts, I put on my waterproof pants, which of course I can use while on the trail if needed. I put on a clean a running shirt. That's the only extra piece of clothing I'm carrying, and a clean piece of underwear. Again, the only other piece of clothing. So really just those underwear and that t-shirt, which I'm gonna wear on the last day. I'm gonna treat myself to clean shirt, clean boxers. So you could call those luxury items. The puffy to wear at night as well at the refuges, which we could wear in a pinch underneath our hard shell while on the trail as well. And of course, we always have our emergency bivy sacks with us too, as a worst case scenario. But other than that, everything is for safety, but not for comfort. And again, everything has to serve a dual purpose. Well, hi. Hi. Well, that lasted about 2 minutes.
And then it got way too hot.
Ciao.
You're not riding this?
Oh, no, just because it's wet. Otherwise, no problem.
It's quite a difficult end to our day. This trail's fairly technical, meandering. What do you think? You ready to be done?
Yeah. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
And yeah, this trail, this section is quite difficult.
Yeah, it's nice though.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, that must be it up there.
Our refugio tonight is really a hotel at this big pass over here, which is obviously car accessible. I think there's a couple of hotels and a big restaurant. When we did our booking, this was one of very few, if not the only option left. So it was quite expensive, but at least we'll be in relative comfort back in, I guess you could say, back in civilization tonight.
Okay, so we're just checking into our hotel for the night. We're just gonna leave our shoes down here. They got flip-flops for everyone, which is great because we are not carrying our own. Ooh. Very nice.
Nice view. It was just an awesome day. We had a shower, we had a beer downstairs in the bar, and then hand washed our clothes in the sink here, and now we're just waiting for dinner at 7:30. We're gonna get to bed early, have a good night's rest, do it all again tomorrow.
Our third day would begin with the climb through 2 mountain passes, leading us into more spectacular terrain. We'd make a couple of stops for snacks and espresso before tackling a series of big climbs and a long traverse to our refugio for the night, perched high on a ledge with sweeping views. About 26 kilometers with 1,500 meters of elevation gain.
All right, start of day 3. It's a beautiful day this morning. And the clouds have cleared up so we can see actually some mountains that we couldn't see last night because they were in the clouds. It's beautiful up here. Wow.
So a bit of a later start today than planned. Breakfast was at 7:30, and we hit the trail by just after 8:30. So we've got a little bit of time to make up here. Hopefully I don't spend too much time today flying the drone. Another big day, similar to the last two, to Rifugio Tissi. We're told they have some really good gnocchi that we're already looking forward to.
Trail right there, traversing for a bit and then start climbing on the other side of that ravine. Back to town that way. That's Cortina. But for us, we continue this way. We're gonna traverse for a bit, it looks like.
Just gonna go check out the summit up here first. So for nutrition, I'm doing 2 servings of NAC's energy drink mix each day. I pre-portion these into little baggies so I can pre-fill my flasks in the morning, along with a few NAC bars, waffles, and gels. And then we stop at the refuges for lunch, of course, to have a sandwich, but this keeps me fueled while we're on the go.
Feast.
Oh, nice. That was a nice little break. It looks like now we traverse for a couple more kilometers and then we continue descending down into the valley, and I think we have to cross a highway. We've still got about 1,000 meters to climb today, so it's all going to come at the end up to our refugio.
Look where you came from. Like we were running along the base of this, these rocks, and then up and over there. That's cool.
Okay, are you working right now? Yeah, you're busy working. No, don't touch the goats. Now we climb. Okay, so we're on the first of what are really 3 climbs, totaling about 900 meters over 7 kilometers to the end of our day. And our approach has been, like all of our fast packs, to run the downhills where we can, pretty much jog all the flats, and then just hike the uphills. And our fitness does help on the climbs. Realistically, we're not going much faster than the average hiker, although our small packs definitely help as well. But where we really make up time is on those flats and those really runnable downhills. You know, sections like that highway and the road back there. We still take a lot of breaks and spend a lot of time at the viewpoints and the refuges, and you know, we've been shooting footage and taking photos of these, as you've seen. So it actually gives us more of a buffer and more time to enjoy the more beautiful sections, and of course with our small packs to be more comfortable along the way as well. Yeah, let's stop here for lunch. We actually decided to quickly stop for lunch. Before starting this next big climb, we'd bought a sandwich at the refuge back there when we stopped to eat pie. We've been passing a ton of day hikers. Most of them probably either drove up to the parking lot just below or are coming from that little ski lift over there. And it seems to be a rush hour right now. Ciao. Oh yeah.
Coffee time?
Yeah. Good to see you.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Hi, Terrence.
Yeah, good boy. Good boy.
Oh.
We're just dog sitting here while Young goes inside to get a coffee. Terrence doesn't seem to mind.
Terrence loves it.
Okay, well that was a nice little break. And now we're gonna climb up over this pass and see what's on the other side. Oh, wow. Oh, look at this lake.
That's what all the day hikers were doing up here.
Wow. All right, so it looks like we just dropped down here and then climb back up to the pass, about 300 meters. And the refugio should be right on the other side. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's our refuge up there. So a little bit more down and then up, 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 up.
Oh, there it is. See a flagpole and a refugio.
Refugios are a big part of the experience on routes like the Alta Via 1. Hot meals, cold beer, warm showers, and a dry bed, usually shared dorm style. These more remote refugios tend to be a bit more crowded and sometimes lack the comforts of those in the villages below. But the sunset always makes up for it. And the sunrise too, which we'd planned to wake up extra early for the following morning. So we got up extra early this morning to catch the sunrise, about 5:45. It's 6:30 now. It's dead quiet. There's nobody else awake. It's just beautiful. Morning. Day 4 would be our shortest on the trail, but definitely not lacking in scenery. We'd make a mid-morning stop for a snack, then would continue a long traverse, eventually reaching a refugio perched above an expansive valley, just over 15 kilometers with about 750 meters of elevation gain.
Okay, day 4. And today is definitely our shortest day, just the way the refugios worked out. We wanted to go a little bit further, but they were all booked up, so we had to make today shorter, and unfortunately tomorrow, our last day, is going to be our longest by far. That's okay, we got a little bit of a later start today. We were in no rush to get going. It's about 8:20 now, and we'll take lots of breaks today. We don't want to get to the next refugio too early. Oh. Yeah, nice. Nice light too. Hey guys.
Hey. Not up.
Hey Toronto. Hey guys.
How you doing?
Yeah.
So 6 kilometers in, which means we only have 9 kilometers left. About hour 15 or so on feet so far. And what do they have?
Homemade cookies.
We stopped for an espresso, picked up some homemade biscotti, Now we're back on the road. I wasn't sure how I'd be feeling this week, having just run the Swiss Alps 100 3 weeks ago, but my legs feel pretty good. That's also where it's nice to have relatively easy days, at least for us. I mean, we could have probably done this in 4 days, but 5 just makes it more comfortable. We're never rushed. You know, we've been taking lots of breaks to shoot photos and video, and for espressos, and just to take in the view. And along with a few side trips, of course, as well.
That might be our trail there.
Oh yeah, in the trees.
Through the trees, and then right below that sand patch.
Yeah. We are about 300 meters into our big climb for the day, which is about 800 meters total over the next 5 kilometers or so. What do we got?
We got a lot more traversing to do.
Through that
Yeah,
pass up there, maybe on
and
the left.
probably up to that pass, yeah.
It's been quite cool all day, really pleasant. We just came around the corner here into the sun and it's like 10 degrees warmer. It's just about 250 meters left of climbing to go.
Look at that over there.
Oh yeah. You can see our refuge perched up on that ridge over there.
Hey, just another tiny room.
Yeah, they sure like to pack us in here. Okay, so we got here at 1 o'clock. Check-in wasn't till 3, so we had lunch and hung out a bit, and then had a shower, had a nap, and then we had a couple more hours to kill until dinner at 7 o'clock. But another beautiful evening to cap off another incredible day.
Our 5th and final day on the trail would be the longest, but with a net descent. We'd enter the national park and would make one last snack stop before a long climb up and over a pass. From there, the descent would begin, with one final espresso stop along the way before tackling the last stretch of trail down to the highway, where we'd catch a bus back to Cortina, a little over 33 kilometers with about 1,600 meters of elevation gain.
Okay, so it's day 5, our last day on the trail. You know what that means. Clean shirt, clean underwear, and clean socks. We got a slightly earlier start this morning, 7:30, and we're gonna have to try to be efficient throughout the day here as well, because we've got a bus to catch this evening back to Cortina. Looks like we've got a section of road here again. Again, another time when it really pays to be able to run. This is quite the traverse. And I'd imagine areas like this, actually this entire route would have a totally different feel early season when all these creeks are still running and there's still snow in the mountains and everything was flowing. Okay, so we're about to enter the national park. So that'll be it for the drone for the rest of the trip, but I'm hopeful that it also means we're gonna get a chance to see some wildlife. Okay, we got some water back there at the tap. All set for the next 1,000 meters of climbing. Yeah. We're gonna do a small detour here. It's just about a ½ kilometer each way to a refuge up here, Pomperé, just to get a little snack, an espresso maybe, and recharge before we tackle the rest of this climb.
This was actually one of the refuges that I looked into booking when we were doing the planning, but it was not available. In hindsight, that's probably for the best because that would have made day 4 a fairly long day.
Yeah.
Plus where we stayed was really nice.
Apparently this flag just up here, the folded one, is the flag for the national park. So we're back on the road, recaffeinated. We had our daily strudel and we grabbed a sandwich to go. For a little later, we're just under halfway done, both in terms of distance and elevation gain. And it looks like we're gonna be climbing up through this col here next. Opens up. we stopped to have our sandwich here, filled up our bottles, and of course Audrey had one more espresso.
One more.
For the road, for good measure. What do we got left today?
11 kilometers left.
Yeah.
Going down a little bit more now and then up about 400 meters. And then we should hit one more refugio where we can buy our bus tickets and then book it downhill to catch the bus from La Pisa.
Yeah, so about 11 kilometers with a lot of downhill still to go. So the forecast starting tomorrow is not looking good. They're expecting heavy rain that's, I think, is going to last for a few days. So our timing was just right, I think. What a cool trail. So I'm pretty sure that was the intersection for the alternate ending, the Via Ferrata, which is technically the official ending in the city of Belluno. But most hikers do what we're gonna do, which is to take this other trail down past another refugio here, and then down to the highway. And there's a bus stop there and a bus that takes us back to Belluno. The other route, being a Via Ferrata, you have to carry Via Ferrata gear basically for the entire, you know, in our case, 5 days, for others up to 10 days. And so I think you'll find that when you look at a lot of trip reports, most people, as well as a lot of the guidebooks, they just consider this now to be the standard route. Need some water?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's not potable. Some of these are potable, most of them are, but some of them aren't. The water in the refuges, a lot of it hasn't been filtered, hasn't been potable either, so we're just filtering all of our water. It's just as easy, playing it safe. Well, we made pretty quick work of that last segment down to the refugio. It was nice, loamy, single track. And it looks like now the final 5 kilometers are pretty much just gonna be on this dirt road. So that shouldn't take too long at all. That's it for the Alta Via 1.
Finish line. One line.
Over the 5 days on the trail, we covered a total of a little more than 125 kilometers, with 7,500 meters of elevation gain. It was a good taste of what the Dolomites have to offer, and hopefully just the beginning. We'll be back, maybe next time for the Alta Via too. We spent a few days recovering in Venice.
This one.
And then it would be time to head to Ireland, where a whole new kind of adventure was waiting.